And right now, it's time for the opinion page. We're going to do things a little bit differently today. Normally in this segment, we talk with the writer of a particularly interesting op-ed from the weekend newspapers. Today, we're going to talk about a particularly interesting documentary. In his latest movie, Sicko, Michael Moore turns his cameras on the American healthcare industry.
There was one person in the healthcare industry who did have a conscience. Dr. Linda Pino, a former medical reviewer at Humana.
My name is Linda Pino. I am here primarily today to make a public confession. In the spring of 1987, as a physician, I denied a man a necessary operation that would have saved his life and thus caused his death. No person and no group has held me accountable for this, because in fact what I did was I saved a company $500,000 for this.
And you were just listening to a clip from Michael Moore's new movie, Sicko. The film gives a bleak picture of healthcare in the U.S. There are stories of patients who are denied care, of former insurance adjusters who are fed up, and, of course, the much-covered boat run to Cuba with several sick 9/11 workers. If you've seen Sicko, or if you have questions for Michael Moore about U.S. healthcare and insurance companies, give us a call at 800-989-8255. That's 800-989-TALK. You can send us an email at talk@npr.org, or give us your thoughts on the blog, npr.org/blog of the nation. And Michael Moore, the writer and director of Sicko, is with us in Studio 3A. Thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon, Lynn.
And since nobody can see you, I can tell you I just told him he looks exactly like he looked in the movie. Hat and everything, I think.
Well, it is a documentary, so
Let's start out by talking about that word documentary,
sure.
because so many times you've been criticized for presenting only one side of a story in your films.
Right. Providing the balance.
Right.
That's what I'm criticized for, actually being the balance. Because in my humble opinion, much of the media does a very good job of telling the side of the administration, of corporate America, and we get very little of the other side. And so I try to make these films to provide a balance that I don't think exists in much of the mainstream media.
So for you, the criticism makes no sense, because this is your deliberate approach. This is what you're setting out to do.
No, in fact, I think if any, I'm being criticized by the mainstream media for standing up and saying maybe there's another side to the story. Maybe it's not a good idea to have 18,000 people die every year in America because they don't have health insurance, and maybe the pharmaceutical companies have a bit too much control on Capitol Hill, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's what I attempt to do. And I think we're just inundated with so much of the other side of the story of how. I'll give you an example of this. How many times have we heard how bad the healthcare system is in Canada? You have long waits. You've got, all these things that you have to wait 6 months for a hip replacement or whatever. I mean, all the things that we've heard, which essentially comes in the form of propaganda, but is put forth as stories about Canadian healthcare. When's the last time you can remember seeing a story on the evening news that says, look how great the system is here in Canada? They cover all their people. No one in Canada has never gone bankrupt as a result of medical bills. No one's homeless because of medical bills. Every single one of their children is covered. I mean, we don't see those stories. You've never seen that story. I've never seen that story. And so I attempt in my own small way to say, here there is more to the story than what we're being presented.
Do you think of what you do as your own, as propaganda, and from another direction? Do you think of it as a documentary?
Yeah, no, I'm the anti-propaganda. I'm the antidote to the propaganda that is put forth on the American people day in and day out. And that's the way I've been since Roger and Me. When I tried to say that General Motors are trying to tell people that, look, there's another side here. This is a giant that's about to fall, and I was criticized for that. Fahrenheit 9/11, I tried to say before even the war started that we were being led to war for false reasons. Here's why we're going to end up in a quagmire. And it's so I'm sometimes this lone voice saying these things, and I get piled on a lot because I'm trying to go against the propaganda where we're being told that there's weapons of mass destruction. This is we're going to bring freedom and democracy to the people of Iraq, et cetera, et cetera. I'm trying to provide an antidote to that propaganda, with my films. Yes, they're documentaries. This is nonfiction cinema. And I think actually we're in your op-ed segment here of your show. My films exist as a cinematic op-ed. It is my opinion, backed up by the facts, but it's my point of view, and you may or may not agree with that, which is perfectly okay.
And they've become enormously popular. Why do you think that is?
Because I exist actually within mainstream majority American thought. Most Americans actually believe in the same things I believe in, and I believe in what they believe in. The majority of Americans are against this war. The majority of Americans don't approve of the job Mr. Bush is doing. And go down the entire list on many of the issues. I would say that I'm very much in sync with the average American, and so therefore the films have resonated with a very wide mainstream audience.